Hey, what's up, everybody? It's 8 a.m. and yesterday I sent out a post asking all of you if there were any questions that you would like me to answer, and we received some questions. So thank you so much for submitting yours. I'm really happy and excited to be here to help in any way that I can. You guys asked some great questions, and so we're going to get started here. Amanda's going to ask me them, and if you guys also have any questions on there, go ahead and type those in, and if we have time, we can get to that. So I think we have 5 that we chose that we're gonna address, and we will go from there. What's up, Michael? How you doing, man? And say hi to Amanda. She's hiding off camera.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and get started. Hope you guys are having a great morning so far.
So we wanted to test this live Q&A. It was kind of like a little idea I ran by James because we get questions in all the time, or people write us in that they're going through certain things, or James has so many people that he works one-on-one with. But we wanted to open it up to a lot of people that watch a lot of James's videos, because we keep getting amazing feedback, to be honest, that people are saying like, this meant a lot to me. Thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they did this Q&A, and I really liked it, because it really helped like someone get an inside look to what goes on, maybe kind of like behind the scenes and in his mind. So we did a live Q&A right now, and I kind of want to do one like every week and see how it goes. So we just kind of picked like a variation of different questions, so that I guess there's a variety. So I'm just going to ask you the first one. Okay. Everything's anonymous. A lot of people wrote us in, like direct messaging us, so I just want to state that we will not use your names, so don't worry at all. And if you ever want to ask us a question in the future, and let us know if you want to be anonymous or if you want us to use your name, it's completely up to you. But for this case, everything's going to be anonymous, and I'm just going to go in no particular order. So James, this certain person, they say, I have certain goals that I really want to accomplish, but I keep having this issue with my motivation, and it's really starting to get to me because I see other people getting what I want. I was wondering, do you have issues with motivation, and if so, how do you fix it for you?
Yes. It's a good question. So right off the bat, what that tells me, and what happens for me, hey Dominica, what happens to me is, or anybody, it's a natural human thing for you to want to compare yourself to other people. Like, you look at someone, especially with Instagram and Facebook and social media nowadays, everything's in your face. Everyone's success stories are accessible. You open up your phone and you'll see 5 people that may have or be doing what you want to be doing. So you have to also be mindful that, hey, that's happening, right? So it's natural for us to compare. If motivation is a challenge for you, which I think it is for everybody at times, what I would encourage you to do, and what I encourage myself to do, is really uncover and identify and specifically mention what your purpose is. There are days where I'm meeting with 3 teams, I meet with 12 people at a business that I work with, and I also have to come home and have dinner with my wife. That is a lot to do. It's a lot of backstories to have. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of work. But I love doing it because it's my purpose and it's what fuels me. And often those long days where I have a lot of work are the days that I have the most energy. And it's because I'm really clear on what my purpose is. And there are days where I wake up and I'm like, man, this is going to be a long day, and I have to get myself out of the funk. But the only way that I get myself out is there's a strong purpose for me to want to get out of it. If you go to a job that you don't like, or you're doing something that is maybe an interim, or that's going to lead you to somewhere else, that can be the challenge, right? You have to develop this mental toughness. We have to find your specific personal purpose if you don't have yet your career purpose. And someone may be saying, well, I don't know how to find my purpose. Well, I was listening to an interesting podcast, and I really resonated with what this man said, and it's kind of what I've been doing. But he said that you want to go over what your most memorable moments are in your life, maybe 3 to 5. And once you find those moments, there's an emotional attachment to that moment. So like, for example, let's say one of your favorite moments is graduating from college or opening up your own business or achieving this certain thing. Why was that one of your favorite memories, or why was that one of your most impactful moments? It was because I had a sense of achievement, or it was a sense of belonging, or it was me really connecting to people. That emotional connection that you had in that moment, that emotional feeling, is your emotional driver. And you can form a purpose out of that emotion. So if you're going through something, everything that you do has an emotion attached to it. And the more aware we become of the emotion that we're feeling, especially when we're doing something that we like, we can do more of that thing, and that conditions our body to feel that more of the time. And the chemical hormonal balance that comes into our body will match that. So purpose, clarity, right? Developing motivation and understanding that there's going to be days where you don't want to do it. That's human. That's normal. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not different than anyone else. It's just a choice that you have to make in the morning. I know that I have to do it, and I just got to get myself to do it. Like, you have to decide. And if it's just a preference, or it's just a 50-50 thing, then you already know what the result's going to be. You're not going to be your best. So that answers the question.
That was really good. I didn't say this when we started, but I just wanted to preface this, that he didn't rehearse any of these.
Yeah.
I literally was like, okay, here's the questions that I chose. 5 minutes before, he goes, well, nothing like last minute. I was like, well, I don't want you to rehearse what you have to say. I just want you to speak right from the heart. So I do want to just say that right off the bat. So the second one is, and we actually get a lot of this very similar question, like people reaching out to you tons about this. I'm thinking of starting something similar to what you're doing. I want to inspire others, but I'm trying to figure out how to go about it and how to get started. And I was wondering, 1, why did you start? And 2, how did you get started?
Why did I start, and how did I get started? Okay. So for those of you who don't know me, back in my childhood, I started playing football when I was 6 years old. And when I played, I really loved football, and I loved being a quarterback. And to me, a quarterback meant someone that could lead a team to victory. And I was a shorter quarterback, so I had to naturally overcome that obstacle and have to see over the line that was protecting me, which was not easy. But I had to learn to get quick, and I had to learn to develop a skill that would help people feel motivated and empowered to do their best. And that carried me on through high school. In high school, I did my best to push people out of their comfort zone. In the gym, if someone said that they couldn't do more than 25 push-ups, you better believe that they were going to do 30. If they only did 10 sprints after practice, they're going to do 12 today. I always got in the habit of one-upping what people thought of themselves, because I wanted the best team moving forward when we played games. But I didn't just tell them to do it. I did it first. And I think that's a big component of leadership, is you can't force anyone to do anything, but you can lead by example and inspire someone to take action. And that's what I've learned to do from a young age. And so I developed that skill as a quarterback. And then, people off the field would come up to me and ask me, hey, I'm going through a pretty tough time right now. Anything that you think I should do? And I would make suggestions. And those suggestions would work. And they would come back, and, it kind of just ripple effect into their friends and to the other families. And people would always tell me that I need to do this for a living. And I said, what is this? Like, this is just me trying to help somebody. Hey, Lisa. Thank you. What is this? I'm just helping people. And they're like, you need to be a psychologist. I was like, no. You need to be a psychiatrist. No. This is just me having a passion and wanting to help people. And I love the feeling that when people break through a belief of themselves, when someone does something that they never thought they can do, whether it's earning the money, starting the business, finding the relationship, doing some physical thing that they never thought they could do, seeing the look in their eye when they look back at me is the best currency in the world. It's so gratifying to me to feel that just by seeing the happiness in somebody else. And that was always a driver in my life, helping people become better. That was like my main focus. That was my main purpose. And in college, I went to school for kinesiology. I wanted to be a physical therapist. But I worked in the industry for 3 years and decided that wasn't me. I didn't want to be in an office from 9 to 5. I wanted to help people in a lot of different ways. I didn't want to stay in one spot. So I took a class that I'll never forget, and that was with Dr. G, and his class is all about mental performance. And I remember learning the concepts of what the mind is and what it's capable of and how to control it and how to use it to get your best performance out. And I was literally, this is what I looked like in class most times, because I was just taking in all the information. I was like, wow. And I was writing down every single thing. I'd ask questions. I'd stay after class, and I developed a relationship with him because I loved everything that he said. And then I went home and I would watch more videos. I would read more books, and I would just become obsessed with how do I understand the mind at a more fundamental level so that I can help my friends, my family, and the people that I work with. After I graduated college, I finally decided, like, I gotta take this information and share it. And so initially, I just started calling myself a coach. I didn't have any training. I didn't have any backing, but I had a passion and a care for people, and I had a way of connecting to them and finding out intuitively most times what they needed most and explaining it in a way that they needed to hear it. And one person turned into two turned into four, and the ripple effect now with over 6,000 people from 8 different countries, it's kind of morphed into this beautiful thing that I look back on and am shocked about. So my why is I love people. It's hard for me to make these videos because I'm talking to a phone. I know there's people watching, but I love being in person. I love feeling the energy. I love creating a bubble of just positivity and empowerment and breaking through. And if you watch any of my videos on either Facebook or YouTube, you'll see that when I work with a team, it's all about the energy that we create, because the more energy you have, the more action you're going to take, the more confidence you're going to have. And the more energy rich you are, the more money you tend to make, the more confidence you have, the better relationships you have. So I love giving people that energy. And so that's my why. How did I do it? Exactly what I just decided. No one taught me how to do this. No one said, James, here's the roadmap on how to be this. I didn't really have that. I had people that I asked questions to, but no one told me specifically step by step what to do. It was my own passion and purpose that allowed me to uncover the way as I made the decision. The decision was always first. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. Once I took that leap, once I made that choice, then the world opened up. Then I found the people, the path, the circumstances, the experience, and it led me to where I am today. So you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe that this is possible, even though you don't have any training, even though you didn't go to school, even though you didn't grow up in the best community, even though you don't have the support system. It's still possible. But it's got to be a decision. It's got to be something that you're going to dedicate the rest of your life to. Because if it's not, then when it gets hard, you're not going to go for it. You're going to stop short. And it does get hard. It does get confusing. There's moments where you're like, how am I going to help this person? But your care and your dedication keeps you focused in the moment, and the breakthrough always happens after that moment on both sides. So
that was really good.
Thanks,
I was sitting over here just like smiling watching you, because I could just see that you're in your element. But I have a question, and this is totally off topic.
What?
I'm pretty sure someone's engaged that's really close to us.
One of my really good friends, I won't say who. Don't show. I think.
I'm pretty
from the
sure.
Picture,
I'm pretty sure.
Congratulations.
This is
I'm
so
going to call
awesome.
you after this, and I'm going to ask it all about it. So.
Because that ring looks exactly like the ones they were showing us. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. And last week he asked for our photographer's number, and I think I know why.
It's true.
Oh man, so excited.
All right.
But this stems in
Congrats.
perfectly because the next question is on relationships.
Big
We
one.
had someone write in, and I'm sure so many people go through this because this is not the first time I've heard this situation before. So I'm just going to say her question out loud. I keep having this issue of going back to my ex, and I know I shouldn't, but he always seems to say the right thing to get me back. And I'm so sick of it because I'm losing my friends and my family's sick of hearing me talk about it, and I'm just so over the situation. I want to be better than all of this, and I just need some advice on how to be stronger. I know that's a pretty big one, but
Yeah.
I think it's so important.
Relationships are the fundamental of life, and if you don't have the right ones, it could eat you alive, it could drain your energy, and it could destroy your confidence. In this situation, it sounds like this has happened multiple times, and each time it's resulted in the same thing. Say hi to Rose. She, or whoever wrote this in, needs to realize that if it hasn't changed in multiple attempts, it's probably not going to change. And I want to preface this because I think a lot of people go through it, is they are so tired of being alone, or they don't want to be alone, that they'll settle for less than average, or even they'll settle for average, just because they're trying to fulfill the need of a connection or being with somebody. But that's the worst mistake that you can make, because then you're settling for something that you know you don't deserve. And anytime you settle for something that you know you don't deserve, your self-worth goes down, your confidence goes down, and everything in your life gets affected. It's the ripple effect. This guy that continues to say the right thing but not demonstrate the action is basically not the right guy for you. And I know that's probably hard to hear, but if it hasn't happened in multiple attempts and it sounds like you're wanting to get stronger and move past this, you have to listen to that voice. How do you do that? Understand that you are more than that. You are more than that relationship. You're more than your past. Maybe you haven't had a successful relationship in the past. Maybe you have. I don't know all of the dynamics that go into relationships, because it's honestly a dynamic one. So just with what you gave me, I'm just making an assumption based off what, in my experience in working with relationships and couples. In order for you to find the right person, you have to be your right person, your right self. When I met Amanda, I always tell this story, and I love it because this is what I believe about relationships. After a long relationship that ended it for me, I was in a bad place. I was really depressed. I didn't know what to do. I was confused. I went through my spell of just dating and not really caring. And one night, I remember specifically getting fed up with the people that I was either interacting with or not finding. And so I took out a piece of paper and I wrote down dream woman. And I wrote down every single quality that I could think of that I would want in my dream woman. Every quality. 5'3", brown hair, tan, funny, loves to travel, goofy, supportive, loves to cook, cooks great meals, right? Like every single thing. And there were 2 pages, front and back, of qualities that I would want. And then I threw the pen down and I said, yes, that's her. That is my dream woman. And it felt so good to finally know specifically what I wanted, right? Then I said, okay, well, how is she going to come into my life, right? Because that's the natural question that we always ask. How? We get so caught up on the how instead of the why and the why that's what destroys most of us, right? So I said, how? And then I said, well, let me think about this. What type of man would she want? What type of man would my dream woman want? And I wrote down all those qualities. She'd probably want a man who's independent. She'd probably want a man who owns his own business, who is confident in himself, who's independent, who lives on his own, who cooks, who cleans, who drives a nice car, who dresses well, smells good, like all of these things, right? And I came up with like a page of characteristics. Then what I did, this is the game changer for me. I looked at the dream man and I compared it to where I currently was. And guess what? I wasn't even close. Not even close. All those things that I saw on the dream guy list I didn't have yet. So my goal became becoming that man. Because I knew that when I become that man, when I raise my vibration, when I raise my mental capacity, when I think differently, I'm going to attract different people into my life. Because what we see, what we believe is what we create, what we attract ourselves to. So like people who think that relationships suck or that they're never going to find the right one tend to find the ones that make that true. So for me, I wanted to raise myself, right? So that I can find different people. So the moment that I feel I became the man that I wrote on that paper was the moment that I met Amanda. And that I didn't know the first visit, but I knew like the second and the third, every quality that I would see in her, it would go immediately back to that list in my head. And there was one day after a couple months of dating that I showed her the list on my laptop. And she looked at it and she said, "This sounds like me." And I said, "It's because it is, before I met you." But if I didn't know what I wanted and I didn't practice becoming who I knew I needed to be to get that woman, I don't believe that would have happened. Because I wouldn't have been looking for it, and not that looking for it in the sense like I'm gonna go find her, looking for it in the fact that I'm gonna be patient and wait for the right time. I'm not going to force myself into a relationship. I'm not going to go and hang out where all the women hang out. I'm just going to let it happen organically. Because when you try to control things, that's when it goes haywire. That's when it messes up. So get clear on what you want, first and foremost. Because my guess is it's not what he has to offer. He probably has some qualities, but not all the qualities that you want. And then focus on you. You are the most important component in this. What do you want? Who are you, right? That's a very important question. What are your challenges? What do you need to work on? And you can email me or Facebook me another question and we can go over that. But that's where I would start. And I hope that answers the question.
Well, now that I'm like wiping over my tears over here, because it just kind of brought me all back. But another thing that James said, like when we first started getting serious, was like, if we aren't growing.
Oh, can I say this?
Okay, sorry.
when you find the right person, I was just having a conversation about this with a gentleman I was sitting down with last week, and he was going through some things with his girl, and we were talking about it, and he said, "So what did you do in the beginning of your relationship?" And so it was about 2 or 3 weeks after dating Amanda, and my parents live in a neighborhood that's like on the bottom of a mountain, and so when I lived there, I would always run up this mountain and sit at the top, and would always look out at the strip and just think about my future, about my life, about what I wanted to do, the impact that I wanted to make. And it was my place. No one else ever was up there except for me. Not even my family. It was just something that I did by myself. It was a way for me to reflect and connect to me and to think without any distraction. It was quiet. It was at the top. Like it just felt good to me. And I remember meeting her and feeling really strongly about her and knowing that there was something different. But, you know, when you're first dating, you're very cautious. And so, what's up, Johnny? Hi, Susanna. What I did is I asked her to come with me. I said, "Hey, do you have time free later today?" And so we hiked up this mountain to where I normally go. And it was it's like 45 minutes. It takes 45 minutes to get up to the top. It's pretty intense, and it's steep. And so I'm holding her hand as we're like walking up to the top, and we're talking about life, and we get to the top of the mountain, and I show her the view that I always look at. And I tell her how important it is to me. And I say, this is what I think about. This is what I want my life to be. And a value, I'm getting emotional now, a value that I really believe in relationships, because I believe so strongly in myself, is growth. And I really like you, and I really want this to work out. But I gotta be honest with you right now. If you and I get in this thing together and we don't grow, the moment we stop growing together and independently, that's when we need to end this relationship. Are you okay with that? And then there was silence. What felt like 5 minutes of silence. And I'm thinking in my head, crap, did I come off too strong? Did I make a mistake in saying it too soon? And after what seemed like 5 minutes, she said, I couldn't agree more. That's when I knew. That's when I knew the relationship would skyrocket, because I was honest, I was upfront, and I told her everything that I believed a relationship should be. Early. I didn't wait 2 years to say it. I didn't wait 8 months to say it. I waited 2 to 3 weeks. And I'm not saying that you need to do that, but I do say that you need to be honest and upfront with what you want and who you are. Because if you're not, then you might wake up one day saying, this isn't the relationship that I thought it was.
Okay, well, definitely switching gears here a little bit. The next question has to do with interviews. And we actually get this question quite a bit because, I mean, an interview can unlock almost everything for your life. This one is more specifically says, I have a really important job interview coming up and I really want it. I've tried to get a position like this so many times before and I did horrible in my interview. I don't interview well and I get really nervous, which is very common for all of us. When they ask me questions, I can't seem to get my words out. And I know I'm smart and I can do this job very well, but I'm extremely introverted. And it's hurting my chances. How do I get over this?
Okay. Well, there's extroverts and there's introverts that get jobs. So don't use that as a crutch. Second thing is, I don't know what your practicing is like before you go into the interview, but every time in the past, or even now when I go in for a presentation, which I consider an interview, there's hours and hours and hours of dedicated practice that goes into understanding all potential types of questions. I remember when I had a really big opportunity 2 years ago to be interviewed with this company. I would put in, if I had to track the time, at least 16 to 20 hours of practice time for the interview. Asking questions, coming up with possible scenarios, practicing those scenarios. Because what happens most in interviews is people don't practice and they just show up and hope that they do well. And the problem is that they only come in with a select few questions that they think they're going to be asked. And the moment they're asked a question that they don't know, and they haven't practiced being asked questions that they don't know, they tense up, they freeze, and they don't say the right thing, and they walk out mad at themselves. So what I would suggest is meet with your friends, meet with your family, meet with people that you don't even know. If you're in a cash out line or you're at Starbucks, it sounds weird, but this is something that I do. Ask somebody, say, hey, excuse me, I'm actually heading into an interview right now, and what's a question that you think, or that you've got asked before that was so outrageous, so unpredictable that you didn't know how to answer it? And you might be surprised at what you find. And that question, I'm not saying it's likely, it could be a question that could be asked. But the point is like when you practice all the things that you can't control, when you practice the uncontrollable situations, you feel more confident in the uncontrollable situations. If you can prevent as much unknown as possible walking into that room, you're going to be more prepared. When you're in the room, it's important to adapt or adopt a nice posture, a slight smile, and to be pleasant and present. Because people can tell when you're not in the room or when you're analyzing too much and you're not really listening to the question because you're trying to form the right answer. Instead of forming the right answer, be authentic with your response, because if you truly believe that you know and you can do the job, then the selling becomes just allowing that to come through, not forcing it to come through and hoping that they get it. When you allow your inner confidence to come through because you're just so confident in what you can do for them, that speaks more volumes than saying the right thing that you think they want to hear. And if they don't want you for you and they're not respective of that, then maybe that's not even the right culture for you. Because the truth is, like, they're interviewing you, but you're also interviewing them. Don't think of it as just one-sided, because when you think of it one-sided, you give them all the power. They need someone too, or else they wouldn't be looking. You need someone, they need someone. It's a mutual exchange. And when you look at it that way, it kind of eases that tension. And when the tension eases, you think differently, you're more open-minded, the right words come through, and then there's a natural, better feeling, better energy in the room. And you walk out, they walk out, and they say, so what do you think? And in my experience, and all the suggestions that I've given people, it usually works out. And if it doesn't, you keep trying. Because if this is something that you really love to do, it'll happen at the right place with the right people. So keep going.
Okay, so this is the last question, and it has to do towards sports. Dance more specifically, we work a lot with cheer, dance, and different sports, and a lot of parents actually reach out to us. Parents are always reaching out to us for a couple of reasons. Either their child's experiencing some form of mental block. Something's going on where they are trying to make the team and they haven't been able to. Or they're a sophomore or junior year in high school and they really want to get to the next level so they can get a scholarship. There's always like a certain pain point, and a parent truly cares about their kid, especially in a sport and especially if they love it. So we get calls all the time on our business line, parents wanting to do one-on-ones with James for their kid. And I mean, you just had one last night. And
yeah, last night was really cool.
Yeah, really good. And parents care. And I mean, we work a lot with coaches, but you have no idea how many times like parents call in to us and like constantly inquire. So this one goes out to this parent.
Yeah, and I also want to say something. It's really amazing when someone becomes coachable and they want to get better. That makes everyone's job a lot easier because the desire's there. They don't need to be persuaded to do the coaching, or they don't need to be convinced that it works. They just want to genuinely get better, and that alone is the catalyst to an exponential growth in whatever sport or whatever field that they're in. So last night's session was amazing.
Yeah, honestly, one of the first questions I ask when parents call in or they write in is, I know you're the one calling and asking, but does he or she, are they open to this? Do they want to get better? Because if they don't, then there's...
Yeah.
That's the first one. So this last question, the mom writes, my daughter keeps having these mental blocks when it comes to doing certain dance moves. The move she's having issue with, she has done before just fine, but something happened and now it's like she keeps stopping herself. Her coach is getting frustrated with her and says if she doesn't break through, then she's cutting her solo in August. So obviously the little girl is devastated, and that's even adding to it, right? So she asks, what can she do to help her mindset with this?
It's a heavy one. It's a heavy one, and I don't know all the facts, so I'm going to try and be as helpful and specific as I can, because each person's different with what their block is. But typically what causes a mental block in that type of sport is a fall or an injury that either they had or they saw happen. And each time they go and attempt that move, that image comes up. And along with that image is a phrase that's attached to it. Hey Dana, nice to see you. Is a phrase. So you have the image of the past, of that horrible incident that happened, that is replaying fresh in the head like a CD that's always going, right? And along with that image is a phrase. You can't do it, you'll never be enough, see what happened last time. So there's their inner dialogue that is keeping or aiding in that image staying fresh. And it's natural, because as humans we want to prevent injury, we want to sustain life. But that's also a barrier for you to ever get past your current zone or your comfort zone and expand into who you really are and your potential that lies beneath that. So I remember working with a young girl. She was, how old was she?
Which one?
The little one. She's like
7th grade.
7th grade.
So,
Okay, so she's
however
young.
old in your 7th
And
grade.
she had something similar, and so I went to her practice and I watched how she
Cheer.
I watched how she interacted with herself and then the coach and how she did her moves. And every time that she would attempt to do this one move that she couldn't do, I noticed that her body would all tense up. And that tension is not good for anything, but especially for the move that she was trying to do. And every time that she would go and attempt, the coach would come in because she wasn't going to make it. And something as simple as this made the difference in her getting it. Before she wound up, before she like ran to do her move, the shoulders would go up, and I noticed that, so I brought it to awareness. I said, every time that you hit the move, or attempt to hit them, or every time you don't hit the move, you're tense. Here's what I want you to try. Take a deep breath, 3 at least, and focus on every part of your body really relaxing. And when she did that, she felt her body posture looked a lot better. But I said, at that moment, when you're at your calmest, I want you to say to yourself that you can. I can do it. I will do it. Or whatever phrase it is that works for you. At the end of the story, she ended up getting the move. And it was as simple as breathing. Does that work for everybody? Maybe not. For her, yes it did. There were some other things that we talked about too, the mental images and the self-talk. The self-talk is the self-hypnosis that goes on in the mind. And if you don't control that, you don't tell yourself what you want yourself to do, it's just going to do what it's always done. And for most people, that's failure, that's missed attempts, that's not hitting the move. So you have to change that dialogue even though you don't believe that you can initially, because that's what's going to start rewiring that process in your brain. Then you have to look at the image or the memory that you have active in your brain. And I can't really do that over on the video because I would need to be there in person, but basically you want to change the representation of that movie in your head so that it loses the meaning of negativity. It loses its potency of fear. And you can do that by adjusting a lot of different aspects of the video or the picture, by stopping it from moving it far away, changing the color, the sound, all of these factors. Because we're sensory beings, because we're sensory humans, when you adjust senses in memories and in future moments by visualizing, you actually tell the brain what to do, and you can change yourself. I've done this with hundreds of athletes, but your mind is a machine. You are in control of it. It is not in control of you. And once you make that distinction, you become the creator. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen. And it will happen quicker than you think. So focus on your self-talk. Focus on that image if you aren't aware of it already. And once you're aware of it, Facebook message me back and we could talk more about it. But be aware that that's what it is. Find that phrase, change the phrase to a positive phrase, and breathe. Breathe, because tension isn't going to do anything for you. Okay? Cool.
That's it.
This was fun.
Thank you guys. We appreciate it. Let us know in the comments below if you liked this, if you want more of this, if there's certain questions that you liked hearing James answer versus others, or there's certain topics that you would like us to dive into more. And if we do it again, which we kind of want to try it again to see responses, please send us questions. Let us know what you're going through so that James can help in any way that he can.
Yeah. My purpose, again, is to help everyone reach whatever they want to. Help them better understand that there's more inside that they're not tapping into. And expand the belief that you have for yourself. Yeah. Bottom line. Thank you guys for tuning in. And if you like this and you enjoyed this, please please share, share the knowledge. I want people to hear this if they don't have the opportunity to. And I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Have a great Friday.
Thank you.